Apparently, I spoke a little too soon on the shocks being easy. All the rest of the shocks were fine, the driver's side was fine, but it happens that Mopar did this and made a change to the way they hook up their shocks when it comes to the coilover. I still believe in leaf springs, I don't care what anybody says. Alright? And there's a captured nut behind here. And there's two plates in front of the captured nut. So there's no hole or access to get that captured nut if the welds break. And it's only welded electrically in 6 small places. So while I was trying to get the bottom bolt loose, they snapped. So now I'm going to have to remove this bracket right here that is here just basically to hold the brake line and the ABS line, and cut this bracket off and go inside. There's already a hole, but it's not centered, so I don't have access to the nut that's broken in the back. And I'm going to have to take a carbide tip and completely hog out the hole so I can have access, and that's going to solve my problem of fixing this, not being able to get this shock out. Yep, I was a little over dramatic because I was a little pissed off when that thing broke on me. So no, the bracket, you can remove the bracket that's holding the brake line and the ABS cable, and there's room to get in there this way, but still the hole which is inside there is way too small for a socket. So now I'm going to have to take a carbide bit and enlarge that hole big enough so I can get the back of that nut on, and I can actually get this bottom shock out. Nice job, Dodge. It's gonna go like this until I get that hole big enough. Now that I've made it big enough with the carbide burr, I can actually fit the socket in there and get a hold of the nut. Why the hell you wouldn't make the hole big enough for the socket in the first place, just in case that breaks? After all, this truck is in the Northeast, where rust is king. I mean, it's absolutely the most stupidest design to do. One little thing like that. And if you're not going to do that, not going to make the hole, then don't just spot weld the nut in there. Weld a continuous weld all the way around the nut. That would make a hell of a lot of sense. Now with the socket inside, a nice breaker bar, old Craftsman, holding that one side, I can now take my nut free, finally. Much larger hole to fit the socket in. As you can see, the nut is still in there. It's captured in there. It's hard to see, but there it is, right there. Leave it in there, and now you have access to it. Okay, even after getting the bolt out, okay, and when you put it back in, wire wheel this really good. Put a lot of anti-seize on it because you don't want this to happen again. Now that hole that was in there is big enough now for a socket. That nut will stay captured in there, so it won't come out. But make sure I used the 13/16. It fit a little tighter than the 21, and that gave me enough to get it out. If this thing didn't have this kind of rust all over it like this, it would have been easy. I hope this helps somebody out. Now for a bit of a rant. You know, I was going to leave the nut in there. I said I was going to leave it in there. But no, it wouldn't go in. It wouldn't screw in. It fell apart completely. Okay? Really. And people wonder why I can't stand modern vehicles. Anything past 1989. I wonder why. Who the hell uses this thin of metal? Who the hell... What, 6 points of welding? Really? Really? Why don't you just fully weld this whole thing around, then weld the nut completely around it? This is the middle of freaking the Northeast. Our rust is legendary here. What jerkwads did DeSantis, whatever the hell they call themselves, Stellantis, whatever the fuck they call themselves. It ain't Mopar no more, that's for fucking sure.